Strange Adventures issue 8. I think we'll start with that because we'll get to the future state stuff after. I think Strange Adventures is the main event of the week. Tom King, of course, writing with Mitch Gerads and Doc Shaner on the art. So we're sort of at the end of the second third. Not that this has to exactly match what the second act is, but it does kind of feel like we're entering really upper stakes in terms of everything. The invasion of Earth by the Pict is in full swing.
Yeah.
And those brief moments where we see the various Justice League members dealing with that does feel like an epic event happening, sort of not as the focus per se, kind of, but no, it's kind of like
it's the background.
It's the background, but it feels kind of epic in the background. So
and seeing our heroes that we know can deal with, like, let's say Darkseid, looking like they're having a harder time with the Pict really builds them up. And that, how did Strange take them on? I mean, I know he wasn't by himself because he had the forces of Rand, but like, you know, it adds more incongruity.
Well, Matt, to answer that question, he had to become someone else. He had to become something else.
Yeah.
This issue kind of feels very 2020 in the sense that there's this devastating backdrop that's affecting seemingly most of the world. And everyone's obviously aware of that and it's there, but then you're trying to follow this, personal story to one man. And that feels very, in a relatable way. Everyone trying to do their own thing in the US. The world is just insane.
Yeah. So we have the fact that Phoenix is gone. Flash gets there. He thinks he's going to save people because Batman's saying, "Hey, get there now," and he's actually just
breaching the defenses.
Yeah, he's just trying to get there to. What it turns out to be is try and look for survivors, which he does not find any. He just counts the dead. Which that 2-page spread of him just looking at the wasteland that was once Phoenix is pretty dark, and pretty depressing.
The speech bubbles spread across the pages he's counting. It's up to like I think almost 38,000.
Yeah. So super dark stuff, and obviously a lot of this art's great. I mean, the page a few pages later where Terrific swimming towards the crashed ship, and this is where they find the Pict survivor who's crashed on Earth, which leads to the interrogation with him and Batman. Which has some, it's funny. I do love that there's some humor in there, even despite the fact that it's a pretty dark issue, where Batman, and to be fair to Batman, this language was never learned by a human before, and Terrific kind of showed off by coming in and doing it so quickly. So the fact that Batman's even kind of get a grasp of it is impressive, but it is kind of funny that he's only kind of half doing it. It sounds a bit off.
Yeah, it definitely, if you read it out loud, it definitely sounds like.
I mean, just the start of it is I Batman's.
Yes.
Or Batsman's.
But you can understand what he's saying though, so I think it does a good job of getting across kind of how he's mangling it without not ruining exactly the point of it. Is I Batman's? Is mine's planet Earth? Attack mine's planet is not good. It's still a Bizarro.
Yeah,
and I like that the whatever dialect / accent the guy's speaking in, he doesn't quite understand it all because the guy responds. You got Batman sat there, fingers up, he's looking, he's staring, he's trying to understand. And he turns to Mr. Terrific, it's like, did you get all that?
Yeah, I mean that's the real payoff to it. It's just that 3-panel page where Batman, here's the response, and you think he's just considering what he's heard, but he actually just turns and says, "Did you understand that?" It's like, yeah, I got it. Okay, good. Back to looking menacing. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and also Terrific knowing the physiology of the Pict, and to know that this is an older, right, an older warrior, and so that means they're probably higher ranked. So that's how they know they can get information out of them. I thought that was a pretty fun series of him putting together.
Did I misunderstand that? I thought it was the opposite. I thought it was a young soldier.
Is that what it was? I took it.
Hold on. These chambers. Now, seeing as how you fight using, picked words. Right. I have to admit, the only confusing thing about that stuff where it was like the picked words that obviously didn't have an English word to replace it with, is that I thought it looked like ha 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 ha. So I'm like, wait, is the Joker suddenly appeared out of the scene at first glance?
So this is why I misread it, because when he gets to a blank old soldier alive, I read that as an effing old soldier, but it's the picked word for whatever number of years it is.
I also did the same thing that Matt did, where it looks. I think comics have trained us to see symbols as in the middle of a speech bubble like that as a replacement for swearing.
Words, right?
Yes.
Uh,
No, because he says here that's only been taught for the last 3 years at
3 years,
academy. Yeah. So
right? Which confused me because I was like, okay, well, I don't know. Maybe it's because it was so he wasn't good at it, right? So it's only been taught for 3 years.
so
He's not a master
anyway,
of it because he's old.
but the bubble that
you
told
know.
me that made me think he was young though is that means you're just blah 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 old. So the idea that we don't
Right.
have a word for whatever the number system they use is. So you're
Right.
just blah blah old. So I took that as he's young, and when he mentions
Right.
the old soldier, he's saying, well, this would keep an old soldier alive for so long, and you're young, so
Right.
you're
yeah, no, I think you're right. I think me and
Yeah.
Matt both made the same mistake of it.
Mhm.
It's and we read it as that means you're just effing old, basically.
Right.
Again, just because of the way comics have trained us to read symbols
Right.
in a bubble.
But I did get confused. I liked the sequence for what this did was showing Terrific does remember enough of him going to Rand to study about the Picts, that he carried it over to what's going on here, and that he used that to basically bring this guy in to get more information out of him. But no, yeah, it definitely makes more sense, Pete, that way, that he's a younger guy and feels like there's more to lose.
yeah, and he kind of outlasts them because he's not getting tired. But obviously, Batman and Terrific being human are eventually like, man, this has been 18 hours. Can he just finally talk, please? And ultimately, he yells about Adam Strange, and obviously he says it in a his accent or dialect, and Batman, because I actually even noticed it was meant to be Adam Strange until Batman said, did he just say Adam Strange? And I went back and looked at it and went, oh, I can kind of see it.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Scaringe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's their approximation of the word Adam Strange.
It's funny because sometimes we follow this just looking at the one plot side, because usually there's the two, because you've got the
Right.
modern and the past with the different art styles.
And the
Yeah.
Shaner.
And
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes we go in order, sometimes we split the two. And we've stayed split so far with this, just talking about the modern stuff, because I think because the War on Earth feels very specific and different.
Yeah.
But it is worth mentioning here that everything, as the book goes towards the end of the issue, it's very important how it's all intersecting in terms of themes and story.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because it's all basically the realization that Adam Strange became an absolute war criminal and
Right.
became this savage, vicious person.
The way they see it, it was attempted genocide.
Yeah.
Right.
Because we see it in the past, like he comes home, Alana's happy to see him. He's being kind of cold with his daughter, but after the heartwarming moment for me is when he eventually goes to speak to Aaliyah, and she's got like the rocks out, and she's playing. She's I'm planning attacks and stuff, and she's like, okay, so all these rocks are all the bad guys, and this one rock's you, and he says that doesn't seem very fair, and her response is, yeah, I couldn't find any more mean rocks to be in the bad guy's side. I thought,
Yeah.
that might be the sweetest thing
Well,
I've read in the
and
comic in
here's the
quite
thing,
some
too.
time.
Weren't the Picts invading Rand, as far as we know?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It wasn't Rand invading wherever the Picts were. So the fact that this guy is like, the Pict guy is like, oh, it's attempted genocide. I was like, well, wait. Now I'm even more confused because as far as we know, they were invading.
I think they were invaded.
So-
I think the idea is that Adam crossed the line, because he even mentions that he started killing women and children. This was like, he started killing civilians. It wasn't like fair war, if there's such a
Right.
thing.
I think this is retaliatory strikes where he might have
Right.
gone and actively attacked the Pict.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Maybe their whole.
Oh boy, where have I heard this before in actual human history?
Yeah,
I mean-
I'm completely shocked that Tom King would have an opinion on that.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, because that's the other thing is that so they capture a Pict member, and in the past this is right. So again, obviously this
Mhm.
parallels the present day stuff, and Adam's supposed to talk to him because he spent the most time with them. He'll have an idea. He's rocking a big
Mhm.
beard at this point as well. It's worth mentioning to
Yeah.
clearly distinguish, and he doesn't even want to talk to him. He just shoots him in the head. As the guy from Rand's like, no, what are you doing? Come on, like Adam, no, that's a waste. Like we could get something from him. And he's like, I'm going on a camping trip with my daughter. I'm spending some valuable time with her. And did anyone else feel this foreboding sense of dread that whatever's going to happen to his daughter is going to
Yep.
happen on this camping trip? And
Yep.
we actually don't even know, is there going to be a third party? Is it just Adam? Like, I'm actually worried.
Yeah, I have no
Mhm.
idea because we know
Well, what-
he's covering something up.
Uh-huh.
He's covering something up, and that he has an enormous sense of guilt for whatever it is.
And-
Right?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Alana does not know about it.
No,
Right.
she doesn't. No,
That's what. Okay, I am remembering that.
that was a big detail from the last couple
Yeah.
issues. That she
Yeah, I'm
doesn't
just
know.
checking I remember him right.
Because we thought for a long time that she was the one covering up more things than he was.
Right.
But all of a sudden, the big realization that whatever happened to the daughter is kind of she's just taking him at his word and doesn't actually know or experience it herself.
Yeah, I wonder what's happened because obviously there's a big moment as they're leaving. Alana says to her, if the Zeta beam, grabs, wears off and and he disappears, you call the comms and I'll come and pick you up. Don't stay out there alone. So I wonder if part of the guilt is him having been zapped away in a crucial moment, perhaps.
Yeah, and it could be in a crucial moment. It could be something happens to the comms. She can't call her mum for help, so she's alone, and therefore that's where the danger comes. Because and I have this foreboding sense of dread, and I suggested there that Adam himself might do something bad. It's not that I am actually leaning towards that, or I think he's going to harm his daughter. That is the darkest possible place for this to go.
But it's even worse if it's something that his actions bring down upon his family, right?
Right. Do we have any concept of how long it's been since this? Like, how old the daughter would be now? It's been pretty vague with timings, I think.
Yeah. No,
because I'm wondering if like she was taken by the Picts because of the Zeta beam. It took him away.
Right.
She was left and got captured, and maybe she, being an empathetic child, learned to understand them, and that's why he had to pretend she was dead. And maybe she essentially has joined their side. I don't know. That could be something. I get why you'd keep that a secret.
I don't know. It could be any number of things.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel like it's definitely retaliatory from the Picts now, because the fact they brought up that he started killing civilians, basically, the women and the children, and now he's going off for a camping trip. Yeah. And the fact that Aaliyah brings up, like, she got that rock from going camping with Alana, from the time that they went out, and, and then just the way that he kind of, on the last page, almost has like a far off look in his eyes, So, and it's also enough time that he's been back on Earth that he's written a book and it's been published,
Yeah.
So it's going to be at least a few years.
Yeah.
I don't think it's been like 10 maybe.
And that final page, because obviously the second last page is the full page spread of her saying "I love you, Daddy" as they're looking off into the horizon, going out camping. And then the last page is two panels, right? Evenly split. There's the quote in the middle, so there's a lot of white negative space. Mm-hmm. And there's a panel at the top, which is him just saying "I love you too, sweetie" in a close up. And the panel at the bottom, because it's worth mentioning, throughout this entire issue, I don't think we see Adam once in present day, all issue, until this final panel. And it's him. And I'm like I wouldn't even say it's a morgue. It's basically just a storage locker with a bunch of dead body bags, and he's just sitting there, feeling small. And it's the total opposite of that top panel, because the top panel is this close up of his face, and it's like, not that it suggests strength or confidence or anything like that, but it's this really intensity. Whereas the bottom, he feels small and weak and insignificant, and he's surrounded by death. Like the parallels are.
This page is like a prime example of how to use multiple artists in a story, right?
Oh yeah.
Just this page, obviously the whole book alone is a a testament to how good it's been, but you can boil it down to just this page quite easily.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a surprise. I mean, this might be the best issue of the book so far, and that's saying something.
I mean, I don't think any of us have said anything negative yet. I think it's a pretty much flawless. Do you know what? I will say one tiny nitpick thing.
What a surprise! It's coming from Connor. Everyone, get your bingo cards out.
This is me intentionally going to find something.
Okay.
This is on the very first page. You got the scene of all the different heroes fighting. You've got Wonder Woman fighting at the bottom, and she says "Thunderbolts of Jove," and that stuck out to me as weird as to why she's using the Roman name instead of Zeus when she's always uses the Greek names.
Because she's that affected by the invasion. It's just throwing her off.
Yeah, I got nothing else to complain about. Like, it's a fantastic issue, and as I said, that is like the super nitpickiest thing I could possibly find. But seemed weird.
Yeah, those first few pages are great. That panel of the bat wing flying from some picked like fighters or whatever, like, it's so beautiful. Those green lines representing like the blasts that they're firing at them. It's beautiful stuff.
Some of Garrett's best work.
It's just stunning stuff. Stunning. I can't.
And I think whoever are they doing their own colors again? I think they are, aren't they? Because the colors in particular in this issue are spectacular. Like, you know, the reds and the blues in the present day stuff. You know, that page with the Flash in front of Phoenix, you know, with all the orange and the reds and the yellows. Oh, it's just all the colors are just spectacular in this issue.
Yeah. And obviously we glossed over the scene where he fights with Alana in the past when she's trying to get him to connect with his daughter. I think it's worth mentioning that scene just at least in passing, because I do think it's kind of what sets up my unease at, you know, that he's in a bad place and what he might end up doing.
She's realizing that maybe he's going too far. He's becoming someone else.
Yeah. So no, glorious stuff. And the coloring, when Terrific's fighting the Pict in the ship before they capture him, just the reds and the blues.
That's what I was on about.
Yeah.
So good.
Just wonderful stuff. It's I mean, we'll score it. Matt, what are you rating it?
I'm gonna give this one a 9.
Connor?
9.5. I think it's a spectacular issue.
Yeah, I'll go with a 9.5. I was trying to just, do I feel at the 10? Am I feeling at the 10 right now? And I don't think I'm just not quite there, but there's nothing I can really fault in it.
It just hasn't got the emotional resonance in this issue is all the devastation of Earth. It doesn't have that moment with Adam in this issue that I think would push it into the 10.
Well, and that's because they do alternate. This is an even number, so that is a Terrific. Or Terrific takes the lead versus the Odd, which is an Adam. So, you know, and I think that's by design that they're keeping us away from Adam right now because of, you know, what's the payoff in the next issue, which is going to be Adam focused.
Yeah, it's not really a complaint. It's more just that's what it would need, that emotional beat to kind of push it into the 10. And I fear it's coming next issue, frankly.
Mm-hmm.